Yes, all right. So the Flyers, they pick up a 4-3 win over the Blues in St. Louis in a game where both teams were phenomenal. If you were just a hockey fan watching this game, you didn't even have to be a Flyers fan or a Blues fan. This was a great game, just as a hockey aspect. As for the Flyers, I thought they played a good game. They battled with St. Louis. There was a couple, instances in the game where, the Flyers probably should have been on a power play. There were some calls that weren't. They were kind of just letting them go, but on the Flyers, they were calling a lot of them. I mean, the Flyers took 7 penalties tonight, and some of them were pretty stupid penalties. There was a too many men on the ice. There was kind of a tripping one where you're basically playing with fire. With that, you're just poking your stick around someone. That was on Raffl in the first period. And the Blues and the Flyers only had 3 power plays. So, I mean, the calls weren't really, helping the Flyers, but they were able to stick with it, and I thought they played a really good game. So going into the game itself, around 7-8 minute mark going into the first period, the Blues they make it 1-0 on the power play. I'm gonna break this goal down real quick because I have a major problem with this penalty kill. All right, so as you start out with this, you see Myers. He's actually, he's covering his position well. And then in this next picture here, he decides to slide and try to block the pass. And the Blues player basically waits him out, and then sends it over to Falk, who's wide open. And this just frustrated me so much because there was no reason for Myers to commit here. If Myers stays in the same position that he is, he breaks down that pass, he gets a stick on it, a foot, whatever, and it just does not go in the Flyers' net. Provorov is the other defenseman who is covering that, so there's no reason for him to even go over to that side. And this was the first defensive breakdown tonight for the Flyers. The third goal as well was a defensive breakdown. I'm going to get to that later into the video. All right, so that would be the only goal of the period. Blues, they were up 1-0. Shots were 14-8 in favor of St. Louis after the first. And then into the second period, the Flyers were kind of struggling a little bit in the first, I'd say 7 or 8 minutes or so, and then it took them a while to get their first shot on net. And then they really started to pick up the pace. All lines were rolling. They were really starting to get a good forecheck down low. I thought Raffl was extremely well tonight with Couturier and Voracek. He really was playing well with those guys. He was just not giving up on any play. If he got hit, if the puck was taken off of him, he was doing that. Aube-Kubel, I thought he also had a really good game. Other guys like Giroux, Konechny, Voracek, I thought they all played good tonight, and the Flyers played a solid game offensively, especially in the second period, and they get 2 goals from that. Pitlick, he gets one in a wraparound, and before this, the Flyers had a glorious chance. I believe it was Niskanen hitting the post. There was 3 or 4 posts in this period. Voracek hit one, Niskanen hit one, and the one from Voracek, it centered back out in front. Couturier was wide open in the slot. He either missed the net or it got deflected and went wide. The Flyers said I think they had around 3 or 4 posts that period. So that was it was kind of frustrating, but they ended the period. They were up 2-1 as Raffl, he got a goal on a really good shift from that line. Raffl, Couturier, and Voracek, they were up 2-1 after the second period, and they had the shot edge 9-8 in that period, and they went into the third. And late in the second period, it was actually after the period even ended, there was a scrum in the boards down in the corner, and Konechny was in the middle of it, kind of trying to keep the puck up against the board so the time would run out, and Perron was kind of giving him a couple cross checks, and then Konechny retaliated, and Perron just came up with a cross check right at Konechny's head, and the Flyers actually started the third period with a 2-minute cross-checking power play, and Konechny was the one who got the goal on the power play. That gave the Flyers the 3-1 lead, and then after that, the Flyers just kind of started to wear off with the offensive forecheck. As I said before I even did the review of the game itself, both teams were back and forth with the dominance of play. I mean, the Flyers had a couple really glorious shifts where they were really cycling the puck well, getting shots from the point, getting the rebounds. Same thing with the Blues. They were cycling it well, getting shots from their points, and they were picking up rebounds. And the Blues' second goal generated off of a rebound. It bounced up in front. Elliott kind of was scrambled around. He was on his back, and Ryan O'Reilly tucked it home 5-hole, and that made it 3-2. After that, the Flyers had another defensive breakdown, and this is just awful. So again, this is another defensive breakdown from the Flyers tonight. And this is one of those plays where, if one of these players, one of the 3 guys here react to this isn't as high of a quality scoring chance as it is. If at least say Hayes, the center in this position, if he's the one who reacts to it, he probably breaks this up. If it's anyone else, whether it was Freeman or the other player who was on the ice, it's still a low. It lowers the chances of the goal being scored. Steen completely walks in, and he roofs it backhand on Elliott. Really, nothing he could do. It's just another breakdown for the Flyers again. And it was one of those things where they were lucky to get into overtime because there was a penalty on the Flyers late in the third period for too many men, and that they were able to kill that off as well. All right, so the Flyers eventually kill off that penalty, which was too many men. And that was a rough one. There was maybe 4.5 minutes left, and it was kind of weird because Konechny was going off for a change. Konechny was coming on, Voracek was going off, and the puck came to Voracek. He touched it, and there was a whole miscommunication, and the ref saw it, called the penalty. Flyers ended up killing it. The Blues started to come back, and then Voracek had a chance to win the game late on a wraparound with about a minute left. I honestly don't know how that didn't even go in. Binnington had made a nice save on that, but before I get into the overtime, I want to bring up something about this Sanheim and Myers pairing, because there's been a lot of things that just haven't looked good with this. It started against Boston. There was that turnover for Myers, just bad reads, not good defensive plays. That especially it started with the Myers turnover against Boston. Then it led to the bad read by Sanheim on defense. Then Hart also read the play wrong, so that was just a mess all around. Couple turnovers tonight. There were just bad plays. No one was covering it. Anyone in front. I think if the Flyers want to, get better in the defensive zone on that pairing, because that third pairing is a little weak right now. And to me, I don't even really call it pairing. Same thing with the coaches that call it lines, because really the lines are switched up it seems like every night. Injuries haven't really helped that, and things like that, call-ups and everything. So I think the biggest thing is that if they can maybe split up this pairing, start to get something to come along with that, I think that's going to put them in some pretty good shape. But they are down 2 defensemen as of right now in Gostisbehere and Braun. Braun, as I said in a recent video, should be back either on Saturday against the Kings or Tuesday against the Penguins. Gostisbehere is supposed to be back the 31st in Pittsburgh, so we're going to have to see what happens there. So, this was a good game from the Flyers. I thought they played really good. They were solid all around. They didn't really give up as much as I thought they were going to going into it. It was an enjoyable game. As I said, as a hockey fan, it was a really good game. Solid checking. Both teams were physical. A couple good hits from both teams. I thought both goaltenders played good, and there was still a lot of good goals. 3-on-3 overtime makes it even better, and the Flyers getting 2 points. Now, the next couple games, Flyers got Montreal tomorrow night, LA on Saturday, Pittsburgh on Tuesday. A couple rough ones coming up. I'm hoping for a win in these next 2 games at home against the Canadiens and Kings. They're definitely winnable games. Pittsburgh is winnable too if they play the way they did tonight, and that's still the same for tomorrow night and Saturday. I think the Flyers have to go into this thinking, it doesn't matter right now about points. Just get the wins. It matters, but to them, it's just pick up wins. All they have to do is, a couple games going, and this is another momentum booster. These last 4 games, they went 3-1-0 against the top 4 teams in the league, and they played pretty good against Tampa Bay to only lose 1-0. So, after this great game from the Flyers, hope you guys enjoyed my coverage from tonight. My podcast, my articles for the Philadelphia Sports Chronicle, Deliver Philly 4, those links are on my channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys in the next one, and goodbye.